How do I find a good builder that I can trust? Whenever I talk to people about retrofit, this is the most frequent question I get asked. Some of us have had great relationships with the builders we've used. Others have horror stories that have left them scarred for life. There are so many different parts to this process. It's about who you ask for estimates and how you find them, how clear you are on the work you want done, whether you like and feel comfortable with the person you meet, and whether that's actually the person you'll work with, how much you want to be involved, and of course, how much it's all going to cost. Finding the right builder's an art form. You need all your wits about you and a very clear idea of what you want to do. You gather together the hard, tangible facts like the cost, how much experience they've got, what recommendations there are. But then you have to make a judgment call on the soft side. Do you like these people? Are you happy to spend a lot of time together? Are you okay with them in your house? Logically, you don't need to like someone for them to come and build an extension or paint your walls. But the reality is you're going to spend a lot of time together and probably have some tough conversations. So a good baseline relationship's always going to be a real help. If you're going to live in while the work's going on, they're going to see you at your worst. I can testify to that. They'll see you in your dressing gown. They may even meet you in the middle of a row. So if you start off feeling unsure, that's only going to get worse. So where'd you start? Even if the next bit of home improvement is just a seed idea at the moment, start attuning your ears to people talking about architects, builders, plumbers, whatever it is you're looking for. Listen very carefully when you have friends going through it, or even when it's being discussed behind you in the supermarket queue, have a little bit of an earwig. Look online for recommendations. Places like Trustpilot are worth exploring. Follow your local renovations page on Facebook. These can be a brilliant source of information, as long as it's limited only to homeowners, so do check the rules first. And ask anyone you know who's had the builders in, how it worked and what the results are like. While you're doing this exploring, spend some more time clarifying exactly what you want to do. Be really honest with yourself, because once you're talking with experts, there'll be plenty of sucking air. Oh, I don't know if we can do that. So you need to know where your line is, what you'll give up on, and what's non-negotiable. You don't want to be swayed by them, then spend years regretting it. Try explaining it to an honest friend. Talk them through what it is you want. Give them the picture. Tell them what you would say to the builder and see, did you make sense? Did they understand what you were talking about? What sort of picture did they get in their mind? And if it's not clear or it's not what you want them to get, then have another think about it and start again. I say this because I've been there. We've talked with providers when we've just got a rough idea in our heads. They've told us they understand. But later we've discovered the pictures that we both had in our heads were very different. But that only becomes obvious when the work's underway. And what I wanted isn't what they're providing. Always ask for estimates from a number of people. I say ask because the reality is that they may not even turn up or respond. If that happens, unless you're really convinced there's a good reason why that person is right, I'd suggest you don't push. If they're going to let you down at this point, they'll be really tough to work with over time. Pay very close attention to how well they understand what you're talking about and get them to play it back to you. If you've worked on a clear description, they should be understanding at this point. If they're not, they may never get it, which means you won't get what you want either. When you get estimates in, I know you're going to go straight to the bottom line. We all do, because that's what we're most concerned about. But then go back and go through the detail really carefully. If there isn't enough detail or any detail at all, go back and ask for more. Because the bottom line isn't an accurate measure of how much you'll actually pay out. Now, I know that sounds a bit daft, but bear with. Some builders will put everything in from the beginning, from the cost of plugs and every window through to adding contingencies just in case. Others will put in the bare minimum in the hope of getting your business. So if the cost is very low against others, always ask questions, ask loads of questions, because otherwise you'll suddenly find you've got extra costs that you didn't expect. My daughter recently chose the builder that gave the highest estimate, which was interesting, but it turned out to be a good call. They included everything in that original calculation, and they were very realistic about what was involved in getting the job done properly. Everything was listed and priced. They had a clear contract and predetermined payment dates. Very little was added later, and only then after discussion. When they'd missed out a cost, then they absorbed it themselves, like the cost of the top hat for repairing the roof. They even paid for a fast dry coating on the screed so the family could move in time for my grandson's birthday, which was a really nice touch. The whole thing was extremely professional, and they took the budget and timetable very seriously. I think she decided to go in this direction because the previous builder they'd worked with gave a low price to tempt them in. And sadly, the costs kept escalating eye-wateringly fast. And they later discovered that the work was nothing more than slapdash, which was a real shame. But that's not to say you should never go for a cheaper estimate. We've often worked with builders who are not so good on the admin, so the estimates are pretty thin. It's just important to know that and to make sure you've got the sort of relationship where you can work out problems as they arise. Once you've got a good choice of estimates, before finalising your decision, go back to that thing of the soft side. Could you work well with this person? If you're doing a short job that won't take much time, this will be less significant. But if it's an extension or something larger, then you really need to think this through. You're not going to marry them, but you'll be pretty much living with this person for a while, and you don't want to be left with bad feeling or daily irritation or regret afterwards. Remember, this is your home you're talking about, and you need it to turn out the way you want it to. So your builder's going to be a really important relationship for a while. Before you go into that thinking, just make sure you know who you'll actually be working with day to day. We took on an architect once based on a meeting with one of the partners, then we never saw her again. That was a big lesson to me. So find out who the person will be coming in day after day and invite them in for a coffee and see how you feel. And finally, of course, take some time to understand the work you want to do. You don't need to know all the detail, just an overview so you can talk about it intelligently. And that's also how you're going to spot some of the specifics that need to be in your estimate. And you need to know which aspects are going to matter to you most. Like for me, I know I want sustainable materials. And if there's a suggestion of anything else, it's going to need a discussion. So that's just some of my ideas. Let me know if there's other things you've done when you've found a really good builder. Put it in the comments so everybody can see, and I'll share it with everyone. And tell me how you're getting on. I'd love to know.